Did you know what would happen if the force of friction didn't exist? Friction is a fundamental force of nature that plays a crucial role in our daily lives, from walking to driving, to simply picking up an object. But have you ever wondered what would happen if friction didn't exist at all? Well, in this video, we're going to explore just that. Firstly, let's understand what friction is. Friction is the force that opposes motion between two surfaces that are in contact with each other. For example, when you try to slide a book across a table, the force of friction between the book and the table prevents it from sliding easily. Without friction, the book would simply slide off the table. Now, if friction didn't exist at all, we would experience a world that would be vastly different from what we know today. For starters, walking would be impossible. When we take a step, our foot pushes against the ground, and the force of friction between our foot and the ground allows us to move forward. Without friction, our foot would simply slip on the ground, making walking impossible. Driving would also be impossible without friction. The tires of a car need friction with the road in order to provide traction, allowing the car to move forward. Without friction, the car's tires would simply spin in place, making it impossible to drive. In fact, almost all forms of transportation would be impossible without friction. Airplanes, trains, boats, and even bicycles would be impossible to operate without the force of friction. But it's not just transportation that would be affected. Everyday tasks such as writing would also be impacted. When we write with a pen or pencil, the friction between the writing tool and the paper allows the ink to be deposited on the paper. Without friction, the pen or pencil would simply slide off the paper, making it impossible to write anything. Sports would also be affected. For example, soccer players rely on the friction between their shoes and the ground to change direction or stop quickly. Without friction, players would simply slide around on the field, making the game impossible to play. Even something as simple as holding a cup of coffee would be impossible without friction. The force of friction between our hand and the cup allows us to grip it firmly without it slipping. In conclusion, if the force of friction didn't exist, our world would be vastly different from what we know today. Walking, driving, writing, and even holding a cup of coffee would be impossible. While it's impossible to imagine a world without friction, it's important to understand the fundamental role it plays in our daily lives. Thank you for watching this video.